To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por
We
favor,
invite you, if
manténganse
you
alejados de
dare,
las
to
This here's
visit
the
tonight's
wildest
episode
ride
of
in the
Twist
world.
Us in this elevated travel.
Dawn is changing.
Hello and welcome to Miles from Main Street, your Far From Disney podcast. My name is Mykhailo,
And I'm Brian,
and we're here to talk about Disney World,
but especially coping away from Disney.
which we know a lot about being from the Midwest.
So today on Miles from Main Street, we are mile from Main Street. Today, we're going to talk about what we would do if we were only a mile from Main Street. So this is interesting because we do not live by Disney. We're actually very far away from Disney, as you know. But today, we're going to dream and we're going to talk about the things that we would love to do if we were only a mile away from Disney World.
And you said it like we're gonna dream, and I do that all the time. Like, oh man, what if I lived there? What are the possibilities, right?
Mhm.
So I think this will be a fun one.
For sure. And I think I've got a couple things. I have a little bit of a list here that we can go down and kind of talk through. And I'm sure my list is fairly similar to yours because there's just so many things I would love to do. But there's some big ones here for me. So I'm going to start with my first one, which is I would love to work for Disney World. It's always kind of been a goal of mine. It's something that, like, if I could make it happen, I would love to make it happen for me to work for Disney. I've gone down a couple different avenues of talking to people about how to go about it, and it sounds like something that would be very possible for me. But it's just always been that dream of like working for such a great place and such a magical place. And we can talk about a couple different things with this. And one thing that I always kind of got worried about thinking about that was like, what if I lose the magic? Like, what if working in this place all the time becomes a job and becomes something that kind of takes away the magic? And I've talked to certain cast members about it. And I do have friends who kind of like got fed up with their job and what they were doing. But none of that had anything to do with how they felt about the parks. It was always kind of like the type of job that they were doing and stuff like that, that they were getting frustrated with. I do feel like, I mean, I can say this for however long I want to, but I feel like I wouldn't get sick of it. Like if I haven't gotten sick of it at this point, and I know it's different with us, where we're like, when we go to Disney, that's our vacation. Like, we're not there all the time. Like, we get there once, maybe twice a year. So it's always very special when we go there. So I'd be interested to kind of see how I felt about it if it had become my job. Also, to kind of go along with that, I feel like if I worked there, I would give like 100%. Just thinking about like the things that I could do. And I'm a lighting designer. And actually recently, they had an Imagineering spot open for a lighting designer, but it was for, I think it was one of the Asian parks, because when I clicked on it, everything went to Chinese or Japanese, or I'm not sure what it was. But that would be that would be amazing. Like, if I could go do lighting designing for the parks or for a show or something like that, like, that would be so cool. And like, just putting 100% into what I do because I love that place and I love what I'm doing would be so cool. And just kind of thinking about being able to light areas of the park, because I'm a huge lighting nerd. So when I walk through the park, I'm already kind of like, wow, this is so cool. And like, sometimes when I when I go through rides, I'll kind of look around and let's see what kind of fixtures they're using and stuff like that. And a lot of times the parks are like the cutting edge of like what's happening. Like they were doing projection mapping way before anybody else was doing projection mapping. So stuff like that would be really cool to work with, and kind of like work with these other vendors who are like really pushing the envelope and like throwing cool things at us. So that would be really cool. And just like working for Disney in general, just like I've always heard some really great things about working for Disney. I have heard really not so great things about working for Disney. So it kind of goes each way. But I feel like I really wouldn't want to kind of slot myself into one of those jobs where I feel like I wouldn't be happy and something like that. So, and that's kind of like what kind of keeps me grounded in thinking like maybe I won't go out there and work there because it's real hard to like jump into those decently paying jobs and jobs that like you're just going to get sick of. And that's something that I don't want. I want to keep the magic going. But yeah, that's a huge something that I would do immediately if I lived in Orlando, is try to get a job at Disney World. That would be the best.
Yeah, I've often thought about working there, and again, just like you said, give it 100%. But I'm an accountant, so I have no interest of taking my accountant skills to Disney. I have looked at doing something like that in the past, and it's tempting, but I more have started thinking about it as like a possible retirement job.
Mm.
I've got, as I've spoke about in the past, I've got 3 kids, so I'm more focused on getting them through college and then seeing where they land. And yeah, like I see myself working there, like I said, as a retirement job, and I always have pictured myself on Main Street for some reason. Whether I'm schlepping stuff out of the Emporium, or I don't know, if I were able to greet guests coming in for the day, whatever it might be, I think that would be just a ton of fun to have those people, hopefully not run into too many of the disgruntled fans or guests, but be able to greet people as they come in and see those smiles. And I think that would just be a ton of fun to do. So that's always been something that I've thought about. If I was able to live down there and work there, it would, I as a realist, I think as I said, more of a retirement job. But I don't know. I'd just be happy on Main Street doing whatever.
Yeah, I think Brian, you could probably be the mayor. That would be a good job for you. You'd probably be really into that.
That would be fun. I've always enjoyed those characters of Main Street. They've kind of been letting them fizzle out. I know the mayor passed away a couple of years ago.
Mm.
Or at least the current mayor that they had. I haven't heard anything about replacing him. I cannot remember her name now. I did meet like the music teacher of Main Street,
Oh,
and she had me sing Mickey with her. It was a hoot meeting her. She was quite funny. Took a selfie with her and a couple of kids were there with me, and yeah, we had a good time talking to her.
Mhm.
So that would be fun. That would, being one of those Streetmosphere type of characters, the mayor of the mayor of Main Street. That would be fun. I could do that.
Yeah, that would be perfect
Now I'll
for
start
you.
dreaming about that one. As I think about living there, if I were to live there, and let's say I'm not working there, or even if I am working there, I guess, because at this point, and I've heard a lot of people say like they don't go to the parks as much after they live there for a while, and at this point, I just can't see that happening. Like I want to be able to just say, "Hey, we've got a couple of free hours. Why don't we go get a snack at Disney, or why don't we go ride Everest tonight and, grab a treat on the way out, whatever that might be. And so that's kind of what I would want to be doing. I'd want to be walking into a park, maybe go to a show that I've never gone to, right? Or a show I wouldn't normally spend time going to. Like I can't remember the last time I walked into It's Tough to Be a Bug because I've done it a few times. I know the gigs as they're going to happen, and I'd rather spend that time going to something I enjoy more or something new that might be going on. Um, or maybe there's something, because there's so much to discover in Animal Kingdom. I might go find a trail to walk around instead. So to be down there, to be able to say, let's go in and watch the show tonight and know that it's okay because I can come back tomorrow and do something else, right? That's something that I would look forward to. That's the dream that I always have is being able to walk in and go and do that one thing that I haven't done yet because I'd rather do something else on my limited time trip.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And it's fun. I just have to mention, It's Tough to Be a Bug is a must do for me. I love It's Tough to Be a Bug.
Oh yeah, definitely. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing. I have nothing against it. It's just I've done it enough. The kids never really cared for it, so we're always looking for something else.
Mhm.
But yes, I agree. It's a great show.
But yeah, like that, and I think I don't have that on my list, but that would be really high on my list is being able to go to the parks for something. It's just like go in and just say like, oh, I just want to go and ride this ride. Mainly because there are things at the parks that I haven't done. I think we've talked about that before in the past. And I mean, it sucks that like there's things at Disney that I haven't done, but it's for a good reason because I might not be too into the ride. It might be like a child's ride or something like that. And then B, I mean, like there's just so much to do. So like you're on a time crunch. Like you're going, you only have so many hours in the day to do all these things at Disney. So if you were able to live close and just go in and do like Country Bear Jamboree, like so today I'm gonna go check out Country Bear Jamboree, and not worry about it wasting your time. I'm doing air quotes because I mean honestly, when you're in Disney and you're doing things at Disney, there's nothing that's really like a waste of time unless you're just sitting around, which even sitting around might not be that bad. But I wouldn't be worried that I'm kind of missing out on something else while doing this other ride that's kind of taking up my time. But that would be cool because there are a good amount of things that I just haven't done, mainly because I just don't have that time. So living close to Disney would give me that time to be able to go and just experience these things. And I mean, to go along with that, like you'd have enough time to like really like get down and dirty with like all of these different areas. It's like you could have a day where you just go and you just check out Tomorrowland and you just chill in Tomorrowland and like you just go from like thing to thing and experience everything that Tomorrowland has to offer. Because for sure you can't do that on a vacation. Like it's just not possible.
Well, and we've talked about Lou Mangello in the past, and he did those audio tours of each land of Magic Kingdom, right? And like you're saying, to just go and sit around in Tomorrowland and really adventure around Tomorrowland, like people have talked about listening to his tour within each land. Like
Mhm.
I would never do that on a trip right now. But if I had the time to say, oh, I can go spend an hour sitting around Tomorrowland listening to this podcast or this guide, um, like I would definitely do that. And the things I could learn from that,
Right?
and the things you can find along the way with it. So, yeah, definitely that would be amazing to be able to just spend time discovering in a land that you wouldn't normally take time to do.
Yeah, and that can kind of go along with the next thing that I want to talk about. And this is almost something that like just recently became something that I'd like to do because of having this podcast preference or podcast presence and doing stuff like this. And that's like I would love to be a Disney vlogger and just I love watching these vloggers just walk around the parks. It always makes me feel like I'm there with like 200 other friends in the comments section because we're always just kind of talking about like, oh, have you been to here? Like, have you done this? Have you eaten this before? I think that would be so cool. I did a little vlog for the Miles from Main Street Facebook page at one point. It was like a 2-hour vlog, and all we really did was walk around Tomorrowland. I think we went on 2 rides. We went on Space Mountain, where I just screamed the entire time. It was a black screen, and all you heard was me screaming. And then we went on.
I completely forgot about that. It was so funny, guys. You got to go find that video and watch it. Oh my gosh.
And then we went on Carousel Progress, which was a pretty decently vlogged ride. But I mean, I would love to do that. I'd love to just kind of go in and just to think about people who have made this like their living, like this is what they do. It's a lot more. I mean, when you think about it, you just think, oh, all these people do is they just go to the parks and they go live. I'm sure there's a lot more to what they're doing than just showing up at the parks and going live for people. There are people like I'll throw names out like DFB Guide who will put YouTube videos out constantly about like things you need to eat at Disney, like new Disney news and stuff like that. And it's just so much work goes into a lot of that, but it's all work that I feel like I would love to do because it's like, oh, so like tomorrow I have to go into the parks and take a picture of a cupcake. Oh yeah, I could totally do that. So I feel like that would be something that I'd be into. So being a Disney vlogger, I mean, like it just sounds like the life of like just like really getting yourself involved into something that you're really passionate about. And even if it was just like a side gig where like I worked somewhere and ended up doing vlogs at Disney also, would be very fun. And I'd do that even if there were only 5 people watching. So that's another thing that I think I would love to do if I lived down in Orlando.
I've thought about that too because I think that seems to be just an upcoming income stream that people could take advantage of right now. But I think it would be a lot of fun, like you said, to be able to be the one that's talking to everybody versus the one having to type and be seen by everyone, you know. And just like watching, we had Heather from
Vacation Exploration.
thank you. Like we had Heather from Vacation Exploration on, and she was, you know, talking about how she can just say, "What do you guys want to do?" And they tell her what to do. You know, like when I'm on there, it's like, "Yeah, let's go ride Small World," or "Let's go do this," you know, whatever it might be. And she does that. Like you don't have to have a plan sometimes. You just let the people on the chat tell you what to do. And I think that's kind of cool too, because that can really change up your day. That can make it exciting or interesting at times to have somebody else planning for you. And that's not something I'd ever be able to do on a trip is allow someone else to plan for me.
Yes, right.
I would go insane. I would be like, no, why are we doing this right now? We're like wasting so much time. Like, why aren't we rope dropping Splash Mountain right now? Yeah, so that would be something that I think could be a lot of fun. Like those little things like that you can just be like, well, yeah, let's go give this a shot because tomorrow I can do it my way if I want, you know. um I again, being there every day or close to, just being down there so that you could be there every day, it changes so many things, and it's such a dream to have.
And I remember hearing about this couple who sold their house and ended up staying at every Disney resort for a certain amount of time. Just like think about doing that, like spending a year just staying at Disney hotels. And I think it was that they stayed at every single type of room or something like that. So that's just crazy. And these are just some of the things that like you can do as a Disney vlogger. And it's all content that like I love to see. Like I would love to watch that. And so it's things that like people want to see. Like people want to. I know. I think I've mentioned it several times. But just all I'll do is I'll go on YouTube, type in Disney World live, and then hit the settings to live video, and just check out who's live at Disney at the moment. It doesn't even have to be somebody that I've heard of. Usually if I see like somebody that I've heard of on there, I'll click on that video first. But I'll just kind of get in there and see who's there live at the moment. So if that was me one day, that would be very cool.
Yes, I think that would be really, really cool to be able to do something like that. The next one I have on my list would be to leave a park. I'm very much a rope drop to rope up. I don't know how you want to say it, but open to close. I'm there from the start to the finish, and I feel like, and as I'm sure many of you feel too, is when you're there, time is money, and if I'm out of a park on a day that I've bought a ticket, I feel like I'm losing some money somewhere. And so to be able to walk in and say, yeah, I don't like how things are looking today. Or if you happen to have a small kid and that kid, you get in half an hour in and the kid starts going insane and you're like, nope, not doing this today. And to just be able to walk out of the park. Or as many planners will tell you, take a break in the middle of the day, go back to your room for a nap, go off site to get a meal. I even have trouble doing that. And so to be able to do something like that and feel comfortable just to go maybe have lunch at the Contemporary on a Magic Kingdom day, to get away from the hustle and bustle, as they like to say, like just to have that comfort, I think would be really cool. I don't have that comfort, This last trip, we wanted to spend time watching cavalcades. And I've always been a person that needs to be on to the next thing. And it was difficult for me. And part of it that helped was that we had ordered some food from Cosmic Rays. So, and we were waiting, they had just opened. So we were, kind of waiting for them to catch up on their orders to get to ours. So having that kind of helped, but we spent about an hour in the hub, just kind of sitting, waiting for those cavalcades to come by, and it paid off. But normally I would not have done that. It would have been, nope, we need to be here, we need to be there, whatever the spreadsheet might say, let's move. And I noticed that day that, especially within that hour, my wife kept saying, where are we headed next after this? And it's like, we're going to do this for a while and let's just relax. And there was a lot of that because that's how I've conditioned everybody is, you got to move, you got to move, you got to move. So to be able to walk in and relax, I I've heard of people that'll sit on a bench and people watch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, like you're wasting your time, people. You got to get over to the next ride. What are you doing? So I mean, yeah, just to be able to walk out of a park and feel good about it, knowing that you can come back.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely agree, especially being the type of person that will also plan everything down to the hour. People who come to Disney with me kind of need to understand that. I've also conditioned my family to understand that that's what we do. So, yeah, that's just kind of what we do, where we're just running from thing to thing. But having the ability to know that, like, hey, we can slow down through this park and just kind of like enjoy things. I've been watching vlogs recently that people will be lined up for fireworks at like 4, and it's like there's so much more, so much you could be doing between 4 and when the fireworks start. But people are just getting their spots and they're sitting there, and it's like, just imagine if you were on vacation and you were like, no, we need to see the fireworks. We're sitting here starting at 4 and waiting for the fireworks. It's like, that's just craziness to me. I don't think I've ever had a pretty decent view of the fireworks, which is kind of sad. But it's always because like we're rushing from what we just did to the front of the castle to go see the fireworks. And I mean, a lot of that goes towards like how much we need to push into our day. But just to have that, like, that ability to say, hey, today I want a really good view of the fireworks. So I'm going to take this time to just like sit and look at the fireworks. And that kind of goes along with like, today I want to leave the park and go have a meal somewhere. It's just like taking that time that like you wouldn't usually have because you just feel comfortable doing it. When we're on our vacations and we only have like 4 or 5 days to fit all the things we want to do at Disney in, like, you just never feel like you have that the luxury of time to be able to do some of these things. So yeah, that's big. And I maybe I'll think more about it, like possibly like when I have kids or like when I get older, but I've just never thought that leaving the park to go back to your hotel and just chill would ever be a good idea. Cause it's like, you'd probably take like an hour and a half to just get back and settled into your hotel. And by that point, it's like, okay, like, we got to get ready to get back to the parks because like we've spent so much time doing this.
And that's the part I've never understood with, take an hour or two to go back to your room and relax. It's like, it's going to take me an hour to get back to my room. You know, I don't know how and that's because we're using Disney transportation, but I've never been able to understand that. And maybe when I'm able to leave a park, that would be more understandable for me.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me to my last thing I want to talk about. And it kind of encapsulates all the things that we've been talking about. Just being able to have time to do the things that we usually can't do. And my last one, it's kind of vague, but it's like just be at the parks. A lot of times when I'm going through the parks, I have a plan. And even with some of the things that we've talked about like going to the parks and having a plan of like doing something, like going and like for a little bit and watching a show or something like that. I think it would be very cool if I could just go to the parks and just exist for a little bit and just kind of like chill and like maybe people watch or something like that, but just go there and like live life. Um, when I was first looking at schools, UCF was a big school that I really wanted to go to, and I ended up auditioning there. I didn't get in. I actually nailed the audition and I got into the music school, but I didn't get in the regular school. But always thought that that would be so cool just to be able to, like, if I had an annual pass, and I was living in Orlando, just to like pick up some homework and like go to the parks and just like sit somewhere quiet and like do homework. Like think of how crazy that thought is. I mean, people do that at Starbucks, where like they'll go to Starbucks and like do work on their laptop or something. Just think about like picking up your laptop and like going and like answering emails like at Animal Kingdom, just like finding like a shady spot and just like hanging out in Animal Kingdom and just like getting some work done. Like, and just the thought of that is kind of crazy when you think about it, but it's like something that you could do if you lived there, because this is just like some other spot. I mean, obviously you'd be spending money on an annual pass to be able to randomly pop over to Disney, but it's like, think about what's happening around you. Around you, people are experiencing new things. People are enjoying their vacations. Like, this is always like a huge, it's always been something big and exciting, and exhilarating for me when I go to a Disney park. And it's always something like very special that I'm doing. And just think about like going and doing something mundane in the parks, and how the parks themselves can turn something mundane that you're doing into something magical. I just always thought that would be so cool. I just thinking about school and doing homework there and like living there and like just popping in and like getting some work done. I know I've heard of other Disney media people who have talked about doing things like that. I've always thought that would be so cool, just to be able to go to this amazing place, and just do something that I normally would be doing maybe at my house or an office, and just doing that and just like letting myself live in the parks instead of kind of like running through the parks and experiencing it as a vacation and as like this like really, not that any moment in the parks would not be special, but like just like this really special time, and just kind of like going and doing something mundane and just like letting the park support me in what I'm doing. And just like existing. Like, I just always thought that would be just cool, just to like pop over to Disney and just be there and just like let the park do its thing on me. Maybe I end up riding a ride, maybe, but just kind of go in and do nothing for a little bit. Maybe just like sit on a park bench, but just like letting the park support me in my life and what I'm doing at that moment. And I've always thought that just the ambiance of the parks themselves and like how everything is made, and just like the good feelings that you have with that place, I always felt like would be very cool to just kind of like go there and just be there. Like, you don't necessarily have to be going there for something. And living next to the parks, I'd be able to do something like that.
I totally agree. To be able to go and work in the park would be incredible. I've heard people say, "Oh yeah, I got to get some work done. I'm gonna go. I had to go do this. I was sitting in Tomorrowland as I was working," and it's like, how could you do that? Like, again, time is money, right? Um, so yeah, to be able to sit under a tree, or how about sit in the hub grass? I mean, um, just to enjoy that part and make your job that part of your day so much more, as you said, magical. That'd be wonderful. Like just be able to go and work there. I've heard people say, "Oh, I got this quiet spot at the Grand Floridian," or "I've got this quiet spot over at the boardwalk," and I'll go and I'll sit there for a couple of hours and just crank out a bunch of work. And it's like, man, that'd be so nice to have that time instead of, oh, hey, it's 1 o'clock. We got to get dressed and get over to our reservation at 3 because it takes us an hour and a half to get over there. you know, I just think that that would be pretty cool. So my last one kind of feeds on your doing things out of the ordinary, I guess. But mine would be I would go fishing at Disney.
Wow.
Yeah, like there are fishing excursions that you can get either 2 or 4 hours, and they do it, from like the Yacht and Beach Club, I believe, is where one of them will leave, and it's on a pontoon, and you go out and you've got a guide helping you, and they take you to all the good spots, and you get to fish for that time, and it's all catch and release. And so I would love to do something like that. That's the kind of fishing I like. I don't need to keep my fish, as long as they're coming into the boat, and I'm having fun doing it. That's all I'm looking for. So
Mhm.
I think it would be great to go fishing at Disney. I think that's something I've always wanted to do, and living there would be something I could go do, along with golfing. Um, while we're dreaming big, I think it'd be fun to golf at Disney too. But I'd go fishing first because I probably could be better at it than I am at. Yeah, I think that'd be great to go fishing. Port Orleans Riverside has fishing. You can actually rent it might even be like for free, free rental of a pole, and they'll have the bait and everything that you can buy. You don't need a license because you're on Disney property. So you can go and do that for half an hour. They have some designated spots for fishing. Um, they of course have it at Fort Wilderness, um, on the campground. Uh, I think those are the three spots I can think of right now. I think they do have something out on either Bay Lake or Seven Seas Lagoon. I'm not sure about that one though. But yeah, I mean, and there's so many things on the water at all in Disney that I think would be fun to do. But fishing would be at the top of that list.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot when it comes to water to do that I've never done. And again, it's just like it just never had. And honestly, I think that would be kind of like a one and done type thing for me. Mainly because I'm not that much of a fisherman. It's actually quite the opposite for you and I, Brian. And this was one of my. We can get into honorable mentions, but definitely one of my honorable mentions is golfing at Disney. And I feel like, I mean, anybody who knows me knows I'm a big golfer. So that would be just amazing. And Disney has 3 golf courses, and they're all pretty reasonably priced. So I would love to get out there and lose some balls at Disney World.
As long as I don't have to fight a gator for a ball, I think I'd have fun.
But another one of my honorable mentions would be merch. Just kind of like I always see the parks will drop new merch and stuff like that, and people will just swarm and just go and get that merch. If I was close to the parks and there was some merch that I really wanted to get, I'd be able to go into the parks and go get it. Like that would be so cool. I would be like the first in line. I'd go get my Spirit jersey and just be really happy doing something like that. I think that would be very cool. Mainly because I see that all the time of merch dropping. And and people getting out there and buying the merch like right away. I feel like that would be something that I'd be into. I'd really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think going into the world of Disney, and picking stuff up, as it hit that day, I think that would be a ton of fun as well. I agree completely. That would be great to be able to go pick up some of those items, because I know I was watching a live stream one day and they were picking up those new emos, and it's like, how cool is that to be able to walk in that day and pick up something brand new, right? But kind of to that point, I was going through it. Here's a little bit of news. If you guys haven't heard, a lot of the Disney stores are closing, and I believe they're going to completely phase these out by the end of the year. And it blew my mind that there actually is a Disney store in the Orlando area. Like, you have Shop Disney, you have the Character Warehouse, you have two locations of the Character Warehouse, and we still have a Disney store. Like, I just thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't feel bad for the person that was sad that their Disney store was closing in Orlando.
Oh no.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go to Disney Springs now. Darn
Yeah.
it.
And it's funny. I know that the Disney stores are actually pretty different than like most of the stores that are out in Disney World. But I mean, you can find most of what's there at all those other stores. The Disney stores were just a lot more, I don't know, based on like normal consumer stuff for Disney. But yeah, like I get it. That is kind of silly that you're sad that the Disney store in Orlando is closing.
Yeah. So if you're hearing this, by September 15th, all of the stores in the Chicago area, which currently right now there's 4 of them, they will be closed by September 15th. So you rush out to the store down there, because within our area, that's it. That once those are gone, we got nothing.
Yep.
And that's incredibly sad to me. We're losing that connection. I know they want to put them into Target stores, and I'm hoping that we get some around here pretty quickly. I know there's 100 of them that they want to open by the end of the year, and I don't know. I have not heard good things about those stores either.
Yeah, so hopefully we can get something like that out here in the Midwest. That would be great. But if you do want to talk about how sad you are about these Disney stores closing in the Midwest, go ahead and let us know how sad you are on our Facebook page, and we will try to support you through this sad time.
Yeah, that's a great idea, to get out on Facebook and let's reminisce about these Disney stores. I feel terrible for all these cast members losing those jobs. Hopefully they can get back on their feet somewhere else quickly, wherever that may be. But also, as part of our reminiscing, maybe we can help each other with finding these Target stores and what kind of merchandise they have within those stores. Hopefully it's a little more robust than what we've seen so far. So yeah, definitely Facebook. We have the group, the community, Miles from Main Street community. We have the Miles from Main Street page. I'll get a post out there to get you guys talking. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. And this would be something really great for us all to talk about, because it's something that I'm sure as Disney fans, I know I've driven an hour to go to a Disney store and go check out the Disney store. So definitely something that we can talk about and we can reminisce about, going and kind of getting our Disney fix at these Disney stores. But that's all we got for you guys tonight. And we'll see you next time on Miles from Main Street.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, please rate us on iTunes and subscribe. Email us at milesfrommainstreetpodcast@gmail.com with any thoughts, and visit us on Facebook under Miles from Main Street. We'll be bringing more to you weekly and look forward to talking to you then.
Until next week, remember,
Some live close,
but most of us don't.
so let's talk about it.